Welcome back into the Sporting News Studio, everybody. I'm Stephen Levine from NASCAR Illustrated, here with Bob Pockrass and Tom Vandervoort from Sporting News. And, of course, we're about to all head down to Daytona. All eyes, as they always are, will be on Danica Patrick. What do you think, Bob? I mean, she's not guaranteed a starting spot in the Daytona 500, though she qualified very well last year. There's going to be a little bit more pressure on her than there has in seasons past. What is your general outlook for Danica this coming season?
Well, I think when you talk about Danica Patrick, the first thing you have to do is look at past rookies, right? And while Denny Hamlin has made the chase, you know, as a rookie, I mean, Kyle Busch was like 20th or 21st his rookie season. So, you know, forget anything else that she's done. She's a rookie. She only has 10 Cup starts. So to think that she's just going to come in and run top 15 or top 20, that would be almost unrealistic for anybody. You know, I think, you know, she's going to have a rough year. I think she's going to finish somewhere between 20th and 25th a lot. She has a good team behind her. She may have a chance to even challenge for a win, depending on fuel mileage and attrition and everything. But I think week to week, you know, it's going to, you shouldn't expect her to be a chase type driver.
How does she balance learning these cars, learning her fellow competitors, learning these racetracks in these cars with performance, with winning, with running up front and those kind of goals? I mean, it is going to be tough for her to achieve those things.
She talked a lot about baby steps, and you know, and first you know you'd shoot for top 20s, and once you start getting top 20s, shoot for top 18s. I haven't heard any of the stuff like last year before the Nationwide Series season where she's like, I really hope I finish in the top 5 in points. You know, I don't. She's not really even setting any standards for herself. You know, look, she's got a multi-year deal. She doesn't need, it's not like GoDaddy's going to dump her in July. NASCAR is a sport where give and take is an integral part of every race, right? Who you maybe give a favor to, or say I'm going to give up that position to, who you're going to race harder. And so, you know, that's, you know, outside
relationships,
not only
definitely.
I mean, we talk about that with brothers and teammates, and so you know, obviously, you know, this whole dating thing is kind of new for the most part in Cup. So you know, it'll be interesting to see. You know, it's funny. The comment is always, well, I'd wreck my mother to win. You've never heard anybody say, well, I'd wreck my wife to win. You know, I mean, I think, you know, it'll be an interesting. That'll be an interesting dynamic. And what I think could happen is that, you know, when a father coaches his son, he's harder on the son. You know, the son's got to be clearly the ace pitcher to get that first shot in the playoffs. You know, they may race each other harder.
Right. Now, you talked about transition to the tracks, transition to the cars, transition to the competitors. Isn't Danica still sort of struggling a little bit with the amount of contact in NASCAR versus IndyCar, where contact is anathema?
What's anathema?
It's when you tweak your back a little bit.
I think she's trying to learn how much contact you can have, right? Because, you know, look how she spun out, or she tried to spin out Landon Cashel. She ends up spinning herself out. She hits the wall, where was it, Michigan, was it a year and a half ago, and then had trouble maybe getting up to speed because she's trying to find that line. Right. And, I mean, you have to drive these cars on the edge. Now, the new car, you may not as much as far as like because they're not going to be crabbing down the straightaway. They're going to drive a little bit more like a regular car. But you're right. The sport is about milliseconds and it's
can you put your car right on that edge consistently over and over and over again. To do that at all these different tracks with all these different circumstances, that's really tough. Learning all that is hard.
Right. That should be what practice is for, but you don't want to wreck a car in practice. Right. And you get limited practice time anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and now I know what the next thing you're going to ask about Danica.
Okay, then you ask me.
Okay, this whole, do you think of anything about like the new car being a more level playing field, and therefore, you know, she's starting at the same place as everybody else?
But she's not starting at the same place as everybody else because she doesn't have the seat time at these tracks. She doesn't have the seat time in a big, heavy stock car, regardless of which version of that stock car it is.
I think it's going to be a rough year for her. I don't see how it can't be a rough year for her, and I think if you're a Danica Patrick fan, what you want to see isn't consistent performance as much as you want to see a little bit of improvement going back to the tracks.
Right.
Exactly.
And I think you want to see some flashes here and there that says to you, if she could ever harness this talent that she's shown in flashes consistently, she could be a factor. If you don't see the flashes, I think you get concerned.
Real quick, are we all in agreement that finishing in the top 25 in points would be a huge accomplishment and a successful season for her?
I would say top 20 would be a huge accomplishment.
I would say top 25 would be an accomplishment, not maybe a huge accomplishment.
How about a successful season? Is that a
successful season?
A top 25 finish?
I think so, and with more top 10s in the final 18 races in the
with
first.
improvement.
Excellent. All right. For Tom and Bob, I'm Steven. Thanks for watching.